Ayubowan, Vanakkam. I'm Vayoni Dimel. This is Boston Lanka News, bringing you news, views and entertainment from Boston and USA. Arrest former President Bush when he comes to Canada. Amnesty International demands the Canadian authorities. We are not happy with the investigations carried out so far, says the family of Bharatha Lakshman Premachandra. Liam Fox, even though resigned, still needs to answer the questions about his links to the Sri Lankan government, says a British MP. US Congressman Heath Shuler in Sri Lanka, second visit after 2009. To remember the losses of the past and to seek a new way forward, an interfaith service in Boston. US government extended the GSP program after a temporary halt, a major boost for Sri Lankan exports. Called by some lawmakers in Australia to investigate Sri Lankan High Commissioner in Australia. A musical show in New York to pay tribute to 3 Sri Lankan musical legends. Arrest former President George W. Bush when he attends an economic summit in Canada was the demand put forward by the Amnesty International to the Canadian authorities. Amnesty International asked that Canada either prosecute or extradite Bush for violations that they allege took place during the CIA's secret detention program between 2002 and 2009. Canada is required by its international obligations to arrest and prosecute former President Bush, given his responsibility for crimes under international law, including torture. Susan Lee, America's director at Amnesty International, said in a statement. Responding to the Amnesty International demand, the Canadian Minister of Citizenship and Immigration, Jason Kenney, said, "This kind of stunt helps explain why so many respected human rights advocates have abandoned Amnesty International." Amnesty International said that Canada was obligated to arrest Bush under its commitments to the UN Convention Against Torture. The human rights organization objected to the Bush administration's enhanced interrogation techniques and violations they characterized as cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment and enforced disappearances. How would the Sri Lankan government treat MP Duminda Silva, whom, according to eyewitnesses, is responsible for the death of former MP Bharatha Lakshman Premachandra? The question many Sri Lankans living in Sri Lanka and abroad want to know is, will Duminda Silva be placed under arrest or will he get away with murder? Sri Lankan defense spokesman Lakshman Hulugalla recently told the media that MP Duminda is not a suspect in the Bharatha Lakshman Premachandra murder investigation. As reported in the media, Mr. Premachandra's driver had told the police MP Duminda Silva fired at Mr. Premachandra after he fell down to the ground. According to Sri Lankan legal sources, though the guilt or innocence of Duminda Silva can be determined only by a court of law, there is prima facie evidence for the police to consider him as a suspect in the murder of Bharatha Lakshman Premachandra and place him under arrest. Meanwhile, the family of Mr. Premachandra held a press conference few days ago and questioned why the parliamentarian Duminda Silva was not a prime suspect and said they had no confidence in the probe carried out so far. Liam Fox put the security of himself and his officials at risk on overseas visits by releasing details of his diary to Adam Verity, the Cabinet Secretary Sir Gus O'Donnell has concluded in his report into the former Defence Secretary. Report finds Dr. Fox guilty of multiple breaches of the ministerial code after blurring the lines between his private and official responsibilities. Nowhere has this compromised the position of the British government more than over Dr. Fox's dealings with Sri Lanka. Liam Fox was accused of running a shadow foreign policy after it emerged he was involved in setting up a private investment firm to operate in Sri Lanka in apparent contravention of UK government policy, with his controversial friend Adam Verity as its key contact. US Congressman Heath Shuler is on an official visit in Sri Lanka, a trip that the Sri Lankan government organized through the US State Department. Congressman Shuler left for the bipartisan congressional fact-finding trip to Sri Lanka on Sunday, and he will be back this Friday, said a spokeswoman from Congressman Shuler's office. He is joined by two other members of Congress, Congressman Jack Kingston and Congressman Ben Chandler. The trip is being paid for by the Sri Lankan government but has been coordinated through the US State Department Mutual Educational and Cultural Exchange Program, she said. Shuler also visited Sri Lanka in 2009, shortly after the Sri Lankan government defeated the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam. An interfaith service was held in Framingham, Massachusetts on September 11th by the Framingham Interfaith Clergy Association to commemorate the 10th anniversary of September 11.
Uddhang vitanang vajinati tate.
May suffering be free from suffering. May the fear-struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all living beings. From the highest realm of existence to the lowest, may all beings arisen in these realms, with form and without form, with perception and without perception, be released from suffering and attain to eternal peace.
The service that included the Jewish, Christian, Muslim and Buddhist communities offered an opportunity to remember the losses of the past, to celebrate the rich diversity of the community, to deepen the sense of connectedness and seek a new way forward.
It is my faith and love of this country that inspires me to uncover commonalities. It is the freedom this country offers that allows us to do the same.
Sri Lankan community in Massachusetts and the New England Buddhist Vihara joined with all other faith and communities in this event. The US GSP program, which came to a temporary halt at the end of 2010, has now been extended till the end of 2013. According to US Department of Commerce, President Obama will sign the reauthorization bill into law soon. Once signed into law, the program will resume zero duty tariff concessions to all GSP-entitled products on a retrospective basis with effect from 1 January 2011. A group of rights organizations and lawmakers on Monday called for Australia to investigate Sri Lankan High Commissioner in Australia, Thisara Samarasinghe, a former Sri Lankan Navy admiral and was a commander during the last months of the war, for war crimes violations allegedly committed by the Sri Lankan Navy during clashes with the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, LTTE.
These allegations have come to light since the Sri Lankan High Commissioner has come to Australia. These allegations are now being looked at by the Australian Federal Police.
Such allegations are baseless and unsubstantiated. In the contrary, I have been commended for my role during the period of my career.
Calls for investigation come days before Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa is scheduled to participate in the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, a biannual meeting of the Prime Ministers and Presidents of its member countries. The meeting will take place in Perth, Australia, where leaders are set to discuss both local and global issues and to develop related policies and initiatives. A special musical concert to pay tribute to three musical legends of Sri Lanka, H.R. Jyothipala, Milton Mallavarachi and Clarence Wijewardena, will be held in Staten Island, New York on Saturday, October 22nd.
වසන්ත සමයක මේ කායට අපි උන්නා සොඳුරු ලොවට මල් වෙහි පොද වැටුණත් අදහස් කෙරුවේ තනිවී ලාහින්නයි.
Boston Lanka spoke to the organizers of the show, Pushpika Lokuheva and Joseph Visidagama. Tell us why you decided to have an event to pay tribute to these three artists.
It's an opinion from my childhood as a fan of Clarence Wijewardena, Milton Mallavarachi and Jyothipala, and this was a dream come true actually for me personally, because if you take Clarence Wijewardena, he's the person who first introduced electric guitar to Sri Lankan pop music. And if you take Jyothipala, without his voice, golden voice, the Sri Lankan film industry would have been something else. Without Milton Mallavarachi, while we were schooling in Sri Lanka, the romantic thoughts came from Milton Mallavarachi's songs actually. If you are fantasizing about a girl at that time, you come up with Milton Mallavarachi's song lyrics actually. I mean, there are other singers too, very good singers in Sri Lanka, very good stars. But among them, Milton Mallavarachi, Clarence and H.R. Jyothipala, their songs we really admire. We really, that's why we decided to have this event for those three people.
A lot of people, they call in, and even we already put the half of the song to Facebook and the YouTube, and with that, a lot of people, they respond for that music and they love it. So the lead guitar is going to be Milan Rodrigo, and the keyboard is Namal, and bass guitar is Suresh Robert, and rhythm guitar is Pushpika Lokuheva, and drums going to be we're going to have three drummers at the show. One person is Pubudu, and Jude, and Gayan.
That concludes our news edition. We meet you again with another news edition of News, Views and Entertainment from Boston and USA. Till then, goodbye.